Hello and welcome to Everything Fear, your one-stop shop for all things horror. I'm Kit Tinsley. I'm a horror author, film academic and general horror geek. Today I'm going to be doing a spoiler-free review of the new movie in the Saw franchise, Spiral, from the Book of Saw. After being delayed for a year because of the coronavirus pandemic, Chris Rock's spin-off of the Saw franchise, Spiral, from the Book of Saw, has hit cinemas. I've just got back from watching the film, and I have to say that seeing a film on a big screen again was quite an emotional experience for a film fan like myself. The Saw franchise began way back in 2004, brought to us by a then pretty much unknown writer and director team called Leigh Whannell and James Wan, who of course have gone on to do great things. Their small horror thriller, with its inventive traps and its twisting plot, was a hit, and in many ways was responsible for the boom in the torture porn genre at that time. However, I always thought that Saw was more story-centric than anything else. Though James Wan and Leigh Whannell created Saw, it was really Darren Lynn Bousman who turned it into a franchise. He directed the first 3 sequels to the original movie. And I pretty much guarantee if you talk to any fan of the Saw franchise, one of his 3 sequels is their favourite movie in the franchise. For me personally, it's Part 2. I love Saw 2. So I was really excited when I found out that he was returning to the Saw universe by directing Spiral, as I personally felt that the last few entries in the franchise left a little to be desired. Spiral really was Chris Rock's baby though. He approached the studio with the idea, and he produced along with starring in and coming up with the story for the film. So, how does Spiral stand up? What did I like about this movie? First of all, I really liked the look of this film. The direction and cinematography are absolutely beautiful. The colour palette really suggests the heat in this film. The film is set during a heat wave, and you really get that stifling sense of overwhelming heat and humidity from the film that really adds to the tension. The acting is good all round. I have to admit I was a bit worried because I'd never seen Chris Rock in a serious role, so I wasn't sure whether he'd be up for leading a film like this. However, I think he did a pretty good job. The film starts with him basically doing a little stand-up routine to some other characters, but from there on his character gets progressively more and more serious. Perhaps he comes across a little overwrought at times, but that works within the context of the film. The traps in this movie are great. Perhaps some of the most believably sadistic traps in the franchise for quite some time. And there's plenty of gore to keep the gorehounds happy. I enjoyed the newish direction that this film took. I felt that it cut enough of the weight that had become a millstone around the franchise's neck, but kept enough to keep it familiar. The movie is less of a horror movie than other entries, although there is still plenty that is horrific within the film. But I think that turning it more into a cop thriller and placing the focus purely on the cop investigating the murders was a really good idea. I think that the direction this movie takes is definitely the way forward for the franchise. The movie is really well paced, keeping things nice and taut at just 93 minutes. If you enjoy this video, if you could please give us a like, subscribe, and maybe tickle that bell icon to be notified when we upload future content, that would be great. Thank you. What didn't I like? I think that Samuel L. Jackson was criminally underused in this film. He is great, as always, but his character has barely any screen time, really. I felt that the movie perhaps signposted its killer a little too much. By the halfway point, you're pretty certain who the killer is and what their motivation is. But this didn't really spoil the reveal, as it became a sort of, I knew it kind of moment. So, on the whole, maybe not the best entry in the entire Saw franchise, but it's certainly better than anything that came after Part 4. Rock's sidequel shows that there is still life in this franchise if it's handled properly. It's a genuinely entertaining thriller with some really great kills and a really tense atmosphere. So that's what I thought of Spiral. If you've seen the movie, let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. And until next time, stay scared and stay tuned.